Hey there and welcome. If you are a coach or consultant who has been struggling, just can't figure it out online as far as becoming that coach who has steady, predictable income, you're going to want to stick around and watch this. We're going to dive into why that may or even likely is the case and how you can build a steady and reliable online coaching business where you can count on the money coming in month after month. You don't have to worry about where the next client is going to come from. And really, you can finally lose that anxiety and feel safe and secure running your business and actually feel like you're running a business, right? Not just, stuck trying to figure it out, maybe doing it on the side or whatever else. So before I really get into this presentation though, what I want to do is cover who this is not for because I don't want to waste your time. This is really not going to be for a brand new life coach who just received their life coach certification. If you are fresh out of some kind of certification course, you haven't really worked with anyone yet, this is probably just going to go over your head a little bit. I'm really going to try to make it accessible to everyone. But with that said, if you haven't had any experience as far as having your first clients, or especially if you have zero experience trying to use the internet for business whatsoever, like you haven't even tried to do social media, get a website going, or anything like that, there's going to be things I'm talking about in here that just might not resonate with you as much. You're welcome to stick around to try to pick something up, of course, but if what's on this screen sounds like this may not be the best fit. On the other hand, if you are a coach who you've had at least a few clients so far, you understand the value of specializing, of choosing a niche, and or you have tried various different internet marketing tactics or things. Let's say like you got your website, done social media, maybe you have a newsletter, you've tried to do podcasts, blogs, whatever, but you're not seeing great results. You don't really understand it. You don't know why it's not working or whatever. This is likely a video you're going to want to watch to the end. And so to really sum that up, that means this is for coaches who are not regularly bringing in $5,000 to $10,000 per month, but you want to. But you've been trying. You've been trying to get there, and I think you're probably going to have at least a few aha moments as we're going through this video as to where things have been going wrong in the past and how you can change that in the future to see the results that you want. Okay. So who am I? My name is Chris Gaskell. I'm the creator of Coach Burst. I have been designing websites and doing internet marketing for 25 years now. I got paid to do my first website when I was 14. You can do the math and figure out about how old I am now. And in that time, I have both made a bunch of websites and done a whole bunch of internet marketing for myself, but also clients that absolutely run the gamut, from people who were just brand new, especially coaches just starting out, trying to figure it out, getting their first website going, things like that, had never done anything on the internet before, up through 6, 7, even 8-figure businesses where I was really working with them on significant websites, serious internet marketing plans, and diving in at a high level. And with that said, though, the past 10 years, even though here and there I've worked with clients outside of this niche, the vast majority of my clients in the past decade have been coaches and consultants and helping them build their businesses online. So really, the way I got started doing this was I had a life coach a little over a decade ago. In fact, he's the guy in the top center of the screen right here. And when we were done working together, he asked if I would redesign his website. And I did. And he was and is popular. And that website was seen by so many other life coaches that they started coming to me asking, hey, can you design my website as well? And so this is just a handful of clients, with many coaching clients I've had over the years. But the the important thing here is, not only have I worked with coaches to design their websites, but very early on, thanks to my experience with internet marketing in general, as I was getting a lot of coaches, especially newer ones, uh, they I could tell they did not know what they needed, what they had to do, and as I was building websites, I had to start doing more consulting, more coaching for them to explain, hey, here's what we need to do here to achieve what you're trying to do, uh, and really walk them through a lot of internet marketing principles. Because if I just gave them a website and said, okay, here you go, they were just going to fall flat on their faces. Um, Now, that doesn't mean I was always able to make them do the work after the website was launched, but more and more it became a thing where I became not just a website designer, but really an internet marketing consultant who helped them create their website, help them figure out what they were going to do as far as marketing themselves, trying to bring in business, uh, pretty much you name it, I've done it, whether it's been building email automations, creating free giveaways, giving advice on creating videos, doing social media, you know, pretty much whatever over the course of the past 10 years. If a coach could try it, I've probably done it with them in some form or fashion. And with that, I've actually helped a bunch of clients get some really great results. The first one here, after working with them on their website to basically increase their conversions, they saw a 20% increase of revenue year over year. So compared to 1 year before, they were up 20%. Another client saw somewhere between a 9 to 10 times increase in business after I worked with them to not only change their website, but then we worked on their internet marketing as well and really implemented an admittedly aggressive internet marketing plan, but they got the results from it. And I know that client not only bought themselves a new truck at the end of the year, but also a Corvette on top of that. So they did okay that year, to say the least. Another client saw a 3 times increase in website conversion rate after we changed their site over to the new one that I designed for them. But probably the one that hits me the hardest and matters the most to me about this screen is that there was one client who came to me. They had worked with another a website design company, actually, who supposedly specialized in working with coaches. Changed this person's website around, and as soon as the website was changed over, the next 6 months were just crickets. They lost their Google rankings. They had just no business coming in, and they came to me and said, if this keeps going for a few more months, I'm gonna have to go out of business, right? As I looked at what that design firm did, I was immediately able to tell all the ways that they messed up. I explained how that happened to the client, and we set about a plan where we triaged, and I got new clients coming in for them very quickly while redoing their entire website and basically, you know, getting it back on the right track. And that client went from basically those 6 months of no one coming in to, after we changed their website over, after we changed their internet marketing and fixed everything up, they eventually got back to me and told me they were fully booked. So that's the kind of stuff that really makes me feel good, because it's like, cool, there was a meaningful impact for that coach that saved their business, to turn it around. That's what I'm interested in helping people to do. I mean, the Corvette, new Corvette's cool and all, and I'm certainly not, hating on that. I'm very happy for that client as well. But, to know that you have an impact like that, to take someone who was struggling and really needed the help and turn it around to where they're thriving, that's not only what excited me about that client, but what excites me about what I'm talking about in this entire video. So after a decade of mostly working with coaches, consultants, some therapists, uh, trust me, I understand and get what you're going through. I have heard so many horror stories, especially from the clients who've come to me after trying to work with a few others and finding me, months or even years later, where they're just at their wits' end. And I know internet marketing is a major pain point for you. It's big, it costs money, often it doesn't seem to work. There's a lot of scammers out there. I even hate calling myself an internet marketer just because I know the reputation. I know that they often will, prey might be a strong word, but they know that the client doesn't really know what's going on. They can be misleading with statistics and all sorts of stuff like that. Um, I get it. Internet marketing seems, and to a degree is, hard. It's a real thing. There's a lot to it. There's a ton of knowledge to know, right? And you're a coach, not an internet marketer. So, there can be a gap there where you're struggling trying to figure all this out. And not only that, I know it's so frustrating because it's like you get into this because you're just trying to make a living doing what you love. You're trying to help people out. And it's so hard. And after you get your certification and you work with some people and you're trying to figure this out and make it work, it's like, oh my God, I have to learn all this other stuff. It's so big. It's often very, very technical. It's exhausting, right? It's exhausting. I know so many of you are just exasperated telling me your stories when I hop on a call, to kind of get a sense of what's going on and how I might be able to help. And I feel for all of you. I really do. So I'm hoping that this video clarifies a lot and really helps you out. If nothing else, I hope that you get helped out just by this video. And so let's dive into that further. Why isn't this working for you? Why are you still struggling? Now, if you were a brand new coach, you would likely not really recognize that there's so much more to the business besides just coaching, right? So, you're fresh out of life coach school, you got your certification, and, it's like, woo, you're ready to take on the world, and, you don't know what you don't know yet, right? And that's why I said at the start of this, if that's you, this video might not be for you. Because it's more likely, if you are not brand new, that you recognize that there's a lot to it. And it can be overwhelming, and you've tried a lot. You have seen endless ads targeted to you on social media. In fact, you might have found me by one even. But more so, the ads I'm talking about are like, you can get high ticket clients by quizzes, and you can get tons of clients more if you just got better at your sales calls and increased your conversion rate, or copywriting, or use this social media network, or do that. And it's just, all these messages are bombarding you. These internet marketers know what they're doing, because they're maybe very good at copywriting. They understand principles of influence and using different marketing techniques to draw you in and make you believe, oh, this is the answer, right? This is it. This is what I need. It's this thing. It's a quiz, or it's, I need to get on LinkedIn, or I need to do this or that, or whatever. And because you're struggling and you're searching for an answer, it's honestly even easier by taking all those internet marketing tactics and convincing you this is the thing, right? This is the magic bullet. But the problem is you can't really build a business on tactics. And so much of what's being marketed to you in some form or fashion is a tactic. I'm not going to say that all of it is, and I'm not trying to say that these people might not be delivering on the promise of what they're selling. You know, they might have a very good course on how to use LinkedIn, but so often what they're selling is one piece of the puzzle. And if you don't have a foundation that you are really solid on, you're not really going to understand what they're teaching at a solid enough level to really get results from it, right? So you need to have this kind of foundational level of internet marketing knowledge to know and go, okay, this tactic right here, I understand how that would fit into the machine that is my business. I understand how that could increase my business. Instead, it's more like you're just kind of hoping and praying this is finally the answer. You're throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Um, and that's in a best case scenario where they're, maybe doing a good job trying to fully teach you something, but it's just, again, one piece of the puzzle. Uh, worst case scenario, it's just a quick tactic that's working that year, or possibly even just for a few months until everyone catches on and it's ruined. And you see that happen all the time. I'm sure many, many, many people watching this have had experience where something changes on social media. Suddenly they're kind of getting some direct messages out of the blue. And then all of a sudden it exponentially increases, where tons of people are suddenly messaging you and they're all kind of doing the same script, same kind of tactics, same kind of thing. And then basically everyone catches on to what's going on and they tune it out, and that strategy that worked in the short term stops working. And so if you try to build a business around a flash in the pan, that obviously isn't going to work over the long term. And the people who really do those things uh, that succeed are more so the people who are very, very early adopters before it's burned out, and they stay as very early adopters, jumping from thing to thing. But that's because, again, they have the foundational knowledge to implement those short-term strategies, and that's kind of their overall strategy. But that's not going to work for you building your business long term. And then not only that, if you don't have really the foundational understanding, or let's say also the technical skills, if you're a coach and not an internet marketer, you're not going to really have the skills to implement it properly. You might try to follow along, but you might have to hire it out. It might just be the case where you start going through the course or the solution that this person offered and you just get overwhelmed and give up on it. Whatever the case may be, ultimately it comes down to the fact that without really kind of understanding all this stuff at some base level, you're always just going to be spinning your tires and really going nowhere. You're going to be trying so hard, but you just can't get that traction to get going. And what this leads to is you're just going in circles. And I know this is so incredibly frustrating for all of you. I get it. And it's like, you're not stupid, right? Why can't you figure it out though? Right? I know I've talked to so many of you over the years, and you're like, I should be able to figure this out. Why is this so hard? I don't understand why I don't understand. Right? Uh Now the good news is you do at least learn a little bit along the way each time. But that doesn't pay your bills, right? It's like that's a nice small little victory that you know a little bit more than you knew before as you're trying to figure this all out. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, that's great, Chris, but like, I need this to actually work. I need this to actually bring in money so that I can be doing this regularly, so that I can quit my day job, so that I can stop worrying, so that I can make this a real reality already, right? So let's just crack the code then. Let's actually figure out right now why all that stuff hasn't been working, but realistically, what is going to work for you and what you need to understand to start making your business work for you. Now, as I said, uh, you know, there are multiple different aspects to your business. Before I talked about how, you know, you might not have the fundamental understanding to go, okay, I see how that would fit into my business. Well, that means your business is more than just your offer, right? However, your offer is one of the four major components. So we're going to start there, right? And your offer is what we call whatever you're trying to provide to the marketplace. So you might say, well, I'm a coach and I do coaching, but it could be any form of coaching. It could be one-on-one coaching, it could be group coaching, it could be an e-course, it could be a cohort, it could just be a downloadable that they pay for. Maybe there's like a short but paid ebook. That could also be one offer. But whatever the offer is, for all intents and purposes of this video, what we're likely talking about is the main thing you do to help people through coaching. Whatever form or shape that looks like, you're a coach, you're trying to coach or possibly consult with people. The main thing you're trying to sell, that's kind of what we're talking about, or at least keep that in your head as we continue through the next few slides. So that is the first and, like, let's say the major component of your business, because if you don't have something to sell, the other stuff doesn't really matter, right? But interestingly enough, the other stuff doesn't matter unless you have all four things anyway. So let's get into the second thing, because sales is number two. I mean, like, oh, well, that kind of seems obvious, but just stay with me here as we go through all four. You have your offer. Well, you need to sell the offer as well, right? And this can take a bunch of different forms. It could be a sales call. It could be a landing page that will, have an order form on it for people to check out. I mean, if we really expand this across all online business, it could be a product you put on Amazon, for example, and they handle the sales of it. So, sales is the second component, though. The third one is content, and we'll say content / advertising, but almost certainly in your case, it's going to be content marketing. This takes the form of blogs, videos, social media posts, email newsletter, even your website itself. It is the creatives that are out in the world that let people know about you, let them know a little bit about what you do, what you're selling, what your offer is, and anything related to that. Even this video is a piece of content marketing, right? Number 4 is traffic. And I think a lot of you get caught up not really considering this. Web traffic, think about it. If you have an offer and you're happy to get on a sales call and sell it, and you do blogs, podcasts, video, whatever, but no one ever sees it, then how are you going to sell it? Right? You can't. And really, these 4 things, they might seem obvious when I lay them out on the screen right now. But the problem is that I don't think many coaches are conscious and aware of it when thinking about their businesses, when trying to figure out how to solve the problems in their business to get to that stable, steady income where every month they can rely on it. And they don't think about how all 4 components work together in sequence. And by what I mean by that is, you at this point hopefully have heard about funnels, right? And many of you think it's, oh, well, funnel is like, that's, when I get an internet marketer to set up my email newsletter autoresponder, because when they sign up, they're going to get the free giveaway, and then it's going to send them some automatic emails, and then hopefully by the end of that, I'll get money or something, right? And that's not really it. We have to zoom out a bit, and we have to think about this in a little bit of a different way, where we have to boil down all the different tactics to what they actually are as far as the four components that I just talked about, and see it as the top of the funnel, as it's called, is the traffic. The middle of the funnel is content. The bottom of the funnel is sales. And once they go through the bottom of the funnel, hopefully they have purchased your offer. Now, this matches up really well to a common marketing acronym, AIDA: awareness, sometimes also called attention, interest, desire, action. And so, whether you have consciously thought about this or not before, I'm here to tell you that you have a funnel. If you have something to sell and you've ever tried to sell it either by a sales page or a sales call or whatever, and you ever produced anything that tells people about this thing for sale, even just a website, possibly a social media post, and even just one pair of eyeballs saw it, then you would have a funnel because all four of these things would be checked, right? But the worst case scenario, you didn't consciously seek to set the funnel up and hit all four of these things and make sure they all work together. And maybe in a better scenario, you were kind of vaguely aware of it, but you're not really approaching it thinking about where, what are the one or more issues in this funnel that are not working that is causing me to not have success, right? If the question was framed that way, then I'd probably be hearing different conversations from many of you when you come to me and say that you're just getting no business, right? And so I'll give you an example. I had one client come to me and they were basically looking to put a quiz up on their website because they heard that a quiz, that might entice people to fill it out, and then possibly that would get these people on their email list, and from there hopefully they'd get more people on their email list, and then hopefully eventually at some point that would turn into more clients, right? That was how they were thinking about this. This is what they were telling me on the call. And so I said, okay, that all makes sense. I understand what you're saying. How much traffic do you have right now coming to your website? And it was not a great answer. Now, think about that. If they spend hundreds of dollars to get this quiz up and then no one sees it, then they've just wasted hundreds of dollars. Now, I'm not saying that the quiz couldn't have been a good idea, but it can't be the only thing that they're trying to address. They'd have to think about it as like, okay, well, I have no traffic. So that's one thing that has to be fixed. If I had traffic, where would they go and what would they be seeing? Is this good enough, or do I have something interesting enough to really capture their interest and get them to desire talking with me and potentially purchasing the thing I'm offering? And so you see, as I describe it there, you can see the funnel on the screen. You see the awareness, interest, desire, action, how it's all supposed to work together. It's this fundamental reframing of thinking about your business in a different way as a funnel. Put the tactics and everything aside. Put the email newsletters aside. Put the social media. It doesn't matter. Think about it as traffic, content, sales, and your offer. And think about how those things are actually working together. Right? So all four of these things have to be addressed. And if you haven't been thinking that way, and there's a good chance that you haven't been, that's the hopefully the first aha moment is like, okay, this is how I have to change my thinking about my business, right? This is your business. Your business is a funnel. Whether you thought about it that way or not, it is a funnel, right? All four of these things comprise a business. It's not just the thing you're selling. The thing you're selling is part of your business, but it's not the business, right? This is super, super key point that must be fundamentally understood. And the second part of that is you must address all four of these things. So if you have been trying to, do this thing over here, like, oh, do this social media network or do podcasts or do whatever, those are usually only addressing one of these four things. And usually, many of you don't have the majority of the funnel locked down. So you might have 3 or 4 things out of the funnel off in some way if you want to be successful, at least. I'm not saying you can't sell at all, but if you want to be successful, there's a good chance that a majority of this is not working, but you're only trying to fix one thing. Let's say you didn't have really good engaging content, but you tried to fix the traffic and throw a ton of traffic at it. Well, then everyone's going to look and be, unimpressed and leave, right? So if you don't have your content right, it doesn't matter how much traffic you throw at it. But if you have your content right, it could be awesome, but you have no traffic, then you're in the same boat. And this is why, again, so many of you are just spinning your wheels trying to figure this out, because you're going over here, you're going over there, and you're not understanding, oh, I need to make sure these 4 things are all addressed well and done well, and that this flows into that, flows into that, flows into that. 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Top to bottom, to middle to bottom, to selling the offer. Now, part of this is that no one really presents it and boils it down like that. Instead, you see all these things on the screen. It's like, oh, there's email marketing I got to know about. I got to know about my website. I got to think about free giveaway. Do I have to know about SEO? What do I do on social media? Do I have to go do a guest blog post? Do I do a guest podcast? How do I reach out and try to get guest spots, whether it's a podcast or a blog post? On and on and on and on. And then on top of that, you might get really bogged down in the details. People talking about conversion rate optimization and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that these things aren't important. I'm saying that you likely have a vague awareness of everything I talked about, but there's just such an overwhelming amount of options, and you don't really know, what to do or where to go or how to make heads or tails of this. And you might dabble with something, but again, something like SEO and blogging is a massive, massive topic. And you get overwhelmed, or you realize like, oh my God, this is a full-time job just as it is, right? But then to compound the issue, we have 15 to 20 years worth of advice, and some people now are still talking about things that happened that worked well 12 years ago, 14, 15 years ago, when that was the thing to do. And I'll give you an example. So in the late 2000s, like let's say 2007, 2008, 2009, somewhere in there, social media was not what it is now. Facebook had only been out for a few years. We weren't really using it in the same way. It was more just like, this is where I go to reconnect with the people that I used to go to high school with, right? If you wanted people to come to your website, Google was pretty much the only game in town. And the way that coaches were able to compete and get listed in Google was to write blog posts, because you had time, right? And so people might be searching for answers to questions, and if that was in your niche, you could write blog posts about different aspects of whatever you coached about, whatever your niche was about. Hopefully you'd rank, and hopefully you'd get traffic that way. That's how people would find you, because there weren't really many other options back then. That industry has matured. Now we're in 2024. SEO is absurdly competitive. To make first off, there's only 10 spots still, but the web is way bigger. And the people doing this are way, way, way better at knowing what Google wants. And the way that Google has evolved is demanding more and more and more truly huge authoritative content. So to write a really good blog post nowadays, at a minimum, takes a few hours. And that's not counting doing the keyword research to figure out if you could possibly even rank for it, doing the research to write a post that is well sourced and cited, because again, this isn't just like your personal diary or journal. This is a marketing tool that you're trying to write something where people not only search and hopefully find you in Google, and by the way, really only the top 3 spots get any traffic. So 4 through 10 on that first page, they get like a tiny fraction of the rest of the searches. It's the top 3 or bust, to be honest. And then if they get to your site, then you have had to write this, massive blog post. And Google also is going to reward you if you have multiple authoritative pieces of content, not just like one page. So to figure out SEO, 10 to 20 hours, right? Uh, and then, to write the post, do all the research. I mean, you might be investing 50 to 100 hours of time to just figure this out, write all the content, months of trying to rank and do everything, just blogging to compete now in 2024. And you don't even know if it's actually going to work. You got to be committed for the long haul. This is a very long game you're playing. If you're trying to start and you haven't really blogged before and you're using that as your main route. And remember, this is only kind of checking the box on about 2 of the 4 things your business needs, right? It's helping with traffic because the idea is to get ranked in Google. And then it's the content itself. When they get there, they're reading your content. So you still haven't addressed really the sales part. Your offer might just be coaching and everything, but still, the amount of time to try to compete in such an incredibly competitive industry now in 2024, when we have so many different options, so many better options, you might be literally sabotaging your business in 2024 if you try to do blogging. Yet we still have people who say they help coaches get business recommending blogging because it worked 15 years ago. So just a side note, if anyone's recommending that to you, please stop listening to them completely. It's a terrible, terrible idea for any coach trying to get started nowadays in 2024 as a way to get business. It is going to be a massive amount of time and money just trying to get started with no business coming in. Most of you will almost certainly give up. And all the time I've worked with coaches, literally only one really ran with writing blog posts, doing SEO, figuring it all out, and doing honestly a great job ranking and getting traffic and all that kind of stuff. But the vast majority got frustrated. It was technical. It was way too much work. And, you want to be coaching, not writing all day, right? So these experiences led me to really sit back a few months ago and go, you know what? Let me just pause here and figure out, like, what's going on. What is no longer working that we've been telling coaches? What's a waste of time or money? Because really, I want to know, why are you all still struggling? And potentially what could be done about that to just make it better? Blogging, that makes no sense, right? What I did really was look at a funnel. I took all the different tactics as far as internet marketing goes and I categorized them. And then I kind of ranked them all and said, as far as getting traffic goes, what are the different ways and what makes the most sense or not? And, if it didn't really make sense, even if it was a long held belief, like you got to do this or you got to do that, you got to have a free giveaway in an email newsletter, you got to do this, you got to do that, I really questioned everything. And I said, are we serving coaches by still suggesting these things? And in many cases, the answer was no. In many cases, the long-held beliefs just did not make sense anymore. As an industry, so many people were still stuck in the past. And even though as time went on, they'd say, oh, well, you got to do this because this is the new thing, they were still saying you got to do these things in the past. And coaches are getting stretched way too thin. They're getting burned out. You are grinding all freaking day trying to talk with people, create content, create podcasts, create videos, do social media, do this, do outreach, all these things. And you have really no results to show for it. You are struggling financially, emotionally, you're mentally burned out. There's got to be a different way to do this to get results. So that's exactly what I set out to fix and change. And I said, okay, as far as the 4 components that your business needs, what we're going to do is take the thing that works at each level of the funnel that makes the most sense now in 2024. That's going to get you really fast results And because we're in 2024, we have all these technological advantages that we didn't have back in like 2008 when you'd have to write blog posts, right? We have new advances in technology. And this isn't a video about AI, and I'm not selling a learn how to use AI product, but the fact is AI is here. And so it's making all the things that you could potentially do as a coach to market yourself a lot easier and faster, right? There's ways to much more quickly and easily generate good content that will help inform and build desire in your potential customers. Just much better options compared to blogging. So let's do that, right? Let's build a system where the thing we do for traffic is going to get lots and lots of cheap eyeballs, because it's important to realize if you look at the funnel, it does this, because the amount of people at one level do not all go down to the next level, right? If you get lots of cheap eyeballs, not all of them are going to be interested in you. That's just a hard fact. And even if an overwhelming amount of people who do see your content are intrigued by it, not all of them are going to book sales calls. Maybe it's just not the right time in their life, right? That could be the case. But it is definitely not 100% that will book sales calls. And out of all the sales calls you have, not 100% will buy, because maybe it's just not a good fit. Maybe they didn't understand, right? But the goal here is, for traffic, let's get lots of cheap eyeballs for the coach. We're going to put that traffic and aim it towards quick and easily generated content. We cannot have coaches grinding all day trying to, just constantly pump out content. You need time to be coaches. You gotta be actually delivering on what you sold. That's the better metric. So your efforts creating marketing and creative stuff can't take all freaking day. That content should make your sales calls easier. We should do something to pre-sell those people coming on the call. And you should have some understanding of good ways to handle sales calls that just make it all easier. Because so many of you, I know, you get on calls and it's like 30 to 40 minutes of just trying to convince the person, let me help you, I can help you, right? And it doesn't have a great success rate, let's say. And most importantly, if you're going to do all this, let's make sure you're getting paid for it. We got to stop doing like $100 an hour, like a 4-session package, or even an 8-session package, like $400 to $800. That's not going to pay your bills every month. I know what the cost of groceries is in 2024. That's not going to cut it on top of all your other living expenses, plus paying taxes, plus just you're operating a business. There's business operating expenses. So we got to really make what you're selling just more valuable, right? And that is so often missed when, all these other people trying to help coaches, they help them often a lot with, the middle of the funnel, the marketing part, whether it's on social media, podcasts, or whatever else. Maybe they're helping a little bit with sales calls as well. But, getting your offer right and positioned correctly is so key. And in fact, the important thing is to almost work backwards. By the way, you have to get that figured out, because if you have a really solid offer, it helps inform your sales calls and the content you create and the traffic you go after so much more than being vague and just saying like, well, I kind of coach around this topic. Like I coach around relationships, or I coach around career, or whatever else, right? So we got to solve that part as well. So that's what I did. I set out and I built a system that does exactly this funnel that you see on the screen. And I call it Coach Burst. And it's all about helping solve the struggles that you've been dealing with and make them a thing of the past. Let's talk about exactly what that looks like. So your offer, we're going to start here. First, you got to stop charging hourly like I just talked about. And we're going to learn the number one thing you need to do to charge high prices. And we're going to build an offer that frees up your time. I was just talking about that before. Like you can't be spending all day on your business creating the content, but you also need to be realistic. If you're going to show up and do well month to month, you can't be packed back to back to back to back calls because you will mentally burn out. Remember, you got to wear multiple hats in your business, right? So you still got to do the content marketing, you got to do sales calls and everything, and then you're trying to pack coaching calls in there to get the volume you'd need to be doing really well and feeling good month to month to month. We can't have it all just be hourly one-on-one coaching calls. And I'm not necessarily talking about, the secret sauce is group coaching, although that might be part of it. I don't know. But it's going a little bit deeper than that in really constructing something that has a lot of value and intelligently delivers that value to your client. Then we're going to jump into sales. Again, I talked about we want to see if we can pre-sell the people who are hopping on sales calls with you, because it's really about making these calls be, is this a good fit? Is this, what are the details of this? How would it work? And things like that in regards to their specific situation. It shouldn't be trying to convince them. They should know if they get on the call whether this is something that can actually help them or not. When they get on the call, it's about you going through a system that will really just kind of figure out the details, and figure out if it's a good fit and close the deal or not. If it's not a good fit, then tell them that and let them walk away. Of course, we want integrity here. But, ideally, we're cutting down the number of people where that's the case, because they should know a lot of the things that you can do to help them before they even hop on that call. As far as your content and advertising, no more burnout trying to be everywhere and doing everything all at once. Like before, I talked about, like, you're doing social media, you're doing video, you're doing podcasts, you're doing blogs, you're doing this, you're doing that. We gotta cut that. We got to focus and go in on the tactic that makes sense now in 2024. It's got to be something that you can easily and quickly generate content, because it can't take up the majority of your day marketing your business, right? How are you going to ever survive if most of your day is just trying to get sales, right? And I'm not saying it, there shouldn't be sales calls dotted throughout your day or week, but you're not making money unless you took payment and are delivering the coaching, right? So we cannot have you grinding all day, sending 100, 200 DMs to cold prospects and stuff. That's just dumb. We're going to stop doing that. And in the process, though, it's important that, I could tell you, hey, do this now, but if I don't tell you how to do it, if I don't tell you how to do it really well, and learn to create the right types of content that attract desire, that show you off as an authority, then you're going to be, again, just spinning your wheel. So it's about understanding the fundamentals of what we're doing at each level of the sales funnel, and then understanding how to do them well, do them properly to actually see results. And then traffic. We need easily targeted, instant traffic. It can't be blogs that take months to rank and you start seeing a trickle of traffic coming through just to hopefully get them on your email newsletter. It can't be that. This is a numbers game. We need tons of eyeballs, but it can't break the bank. And it's got to be something that we can really see if this is working or not, test, tweak if we need to. But once the other stuff is all in place, to offer the sales and the content, we need to address traffic. And if you haven't been addressing traffic in the past, well, no wonder you are struggling. You likely just had a trickle of people, if even that, coming through. You might have been trying to do, cold outreach and things like that. We're going to be done with all that. And so how did I build this? How did I build Coach First to deliver on getting across what you need to know, the fundamentals, the foundation, and the actual implementation of the 4 components of your business? It's a private members-only portal that has 10 plus, actually more than 10, but at least 10 hours of content. I say at least because it's always getting updated. If there's new stuff to add, if there's another thing where I'm seeing, this topic makes sense to record a video around, I do, right? So it's always increasing. But you already have a great base as of the recording of this video. And that comes with supplemental materials, recommendations, etc. But it would be really crappy if I just recorded all these videos and said, okay, here you go figure it out, right? That's not really me making sure that you're going to be successful with this. Because I know that there's two other aspects or issues that come up if you just watch videos. Number one, you're not really sure how it might work for your specific business, right? Because everyone's different. Everyone does things a little bit differently. So for example, I talked about group coaching before. Does group coaching make sense for every single coach? No. So if I suggested that, but you helped people get over trauma, which would be very difficult to build a group coaching program around. I'm not saying it couldn't exist, but people are really not going to want to join a group like that unless they have very few options, very few resources, and that's just the best that they can do. But the vast majority are looking for something private and intimate because they're getting into, really difficult aspects of things they've lived through that leave them very vulnerable. So, it's just kind of telling you all this and saying, okay, well, this is just a blanket fix for every coach. That doesn't make sense, right? So number one, we need to have one-on-one calls so that you can take what you learned and get on the same page as me as far as how this is all going to work. But then we're going to figure out how it makes sense for your business. Number two, the other aspect is so many people don't have success with courses because there's no accountability. And not only that, you're human, right? And so a big part of what I've done with clients over the years is not just the consulting side, but a bit of coaching as well, because you're coming up on things you've never done before. Very often there are internal fears, which, it's ironic a bit because coaches are often helping others break past ceilings and plateaus and things like that. But, we're all human and we need that too, right? I'm sure as a coach, you understand the value of coaching. You know that you've come up against your own walls or ceilings or sometimes just blind spots, right? Things you don't know because you don't have the experience from doing it, that if you have a coach, if you have a consultant there that can go, oh, nope, you don't want to do that, or you want to think about this thing, that's just going to help you get through it that much faster, right? So we're going to work one-on-one in addition to you getting this giant video library to learn everything. So you take it a chunk at a time. It's like, okay, the offer, I've understood that. Okay, let's get on a call now. Let's figure out how I'm going to make this offer for my business, right? And then going forward through all the other aspects as well. There's also weekly office hours calls. So if you just have a quick question, doesn't require like a whole hour. Anyone who's in Coachverse can just hop on at that time. I'm going to be hanging out. You can listen to what others are asking, and you can ask your question as well. And I'll answer it for your benefit as well as the benefit of everyone else there. There's also direct message support. So if, again, you have a quick question or we just need to check in, you can just go into the backend portal, click my name, type your message out, and we can communicate that way directly as well. Again, it's really important to me that you all succeed. As much as I can help you succeed as possible, that's what I want to do. I don't want to measure my success with Coachverse on how much money I make and how many sales I do every month. If that means that I can't scale as much, but it means more of you are going to succeed, then that's okay. And, finally, this is a community. So you're going to be around a bunch of other coaches just like you, all working to implement the Coachverse system, figuring it all out. You can share wins, you can post questions. Again, I talked about the group calls. You can hop on, you can meet other people doing the same thing. It's coaches too, right? So it's a positive community. It's not like, I don't know, or at least we don't have any real like jerk coaches in there who are being negative or putting anyone down, and I wouldn't tolerate it even if they were. It's a supportive community, which is really, really useful and helpful as well. And so by the time you're done, the goal here is that you are going to fully understand the fundamentals of online business, specifically these 4 components. And not only will you understand them, you will have implemented the steps that I lay out and what we work on together to build this all out for your business. And specifically, as I built this, we've all heard the 80-20 principle before, right? 20% of anything is going to get you 80% of the results. So, like, let's take social media. 20% of all the knowledge of social media and doing content marketing on social media is going to get you 80% of the results. So that's really what I'm trying to do here when it comes to Coach Burst is this is not, I'm going to give you a masterclass on social media. This is what you need to know to get going and doing this well and get it working so that you start seeing results. Now, the good news is, I'm going to move me over here. This is a system that I built up to scale as well. So if you are seeing results and you finally get that, figured out and you're up and running now, it's not something that you're going to hit a ceiling and go, oh, well, I have to totally wipe out the Coach Burst system and do something different to get to the next level. No, it's a scalable thing. So when that time comes to figure out the little bit that's going to get you the extra 20% of the results and really scale up, you'll have this in place to get there. But this base Coach Burst system is about just what you need to know to get going. I don't want to overwhelm you with all these little, tips and tricks. I mean, if they're applicable, then certainly, but it's not about going down and making you a master at sales calls. We just need to make you good enough to get going and have results, right? So we want this to be as quickly implementable and get you up and running, as humanly possible. So with that said, is this right for you? Well, if you are serious about finally making your coaching business work, maybe. If you're ready to invest into yourself and to your business, good chance. And you're ready to take action and put in the time to build this business. It's, like I said, there's 10 hours of video. You have to watch those videos. You have to work one-on-one calls with me. You have to put in the time and the effort. It's not going to magically pop up just because you watch the videos. But if you are ready to finally get out of the struggle, get out of the famine cycle, and start getting at least a few $1,000s, ideally $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 a month, and you're willing to put the work in, you're willing to invest in yourself, you're serious about 2024 being the year that you get this all solved, then Coach Burst isn't just likely right for you. I can't think of anything better because, again, it teaches you how to fix every part of your business, how to do it all properly and correctly. It is not just a tactic over here. It's not just trying to increase your conversion rate over there or anything like that. This is everything. You will know everything about how to get at least a sustainable business up and running, right? There won't be any, why isn't this working? Oh, well, I didn't know about this thing over there or this over here. No, you are going to know about all 4 things you need. Your offer, sales, content, and traffic. You're going to know and be able to take action on it. You're going to have steps. In fact, that's one of the greatest things I've heard from one of my beta testers who's been going through Coach Burst is I'm not going to tell you how many years they've been struggling to figure this out because they were a little embarrassed talking about it. But they said, this is the first time I finally feel like I am getting the knowledge and the steps that if I just take the steps and take step after step after step to build this out, I'm going to have it, right? I'm finally understanding and seeing where I went wrong all these past years. And she said, I can't tell you how much time and money I spent trying to figure out my brand, right? And what did it get? I mean, I'm sure there was a little bit of benefit there, but things like your brand or just only attacking one thing like copywriting or video production or something like that, that's not seeing the big picture, and it's not making sure all 4 of those things are checked off and done well. Coach First is going to make sure that you know exactly what to do with all 4 things, how to do them well. It's going to give you the tools, the tips, the tricks. I know I said tricks there, but you get what I'm saying. And not only is it going to give you all that information, but you're going to have me working alongside you to implement it, to answer your questions, to hold you accountable. Whatever you need to make your business a success, it's going to be there. So if that sounds like you, then I'd encourage you to book a call. coachfirst.com. Depending on where you're seeing this video, the link might be down below or somewhere around there. But, you know, I would say this, don't book a call unless you are serious. After watching all of this, you understand, hopefully, everything that's included. You know what you're getting and all that kind of stuff. You know, if you're not serious, if you're just kicking tires, please, you know, that's not the right time to book the call. If you are serious, if you are excited, if you really think this is what you need and have been looking for all this time, then I'm really looking forward to talking to you. Like I said, click the link or just head to coachfirst.com. Pick a time. It'll set a Zoom call up for us. I really look forward to chatting with you. I really hope, even if we don't talk, that you got a ton of value out of this. You see why you've been struggling, what you might be able to do to fix it. And, you know, no matter what happens, I really hope that 2024 is the year that you stop struggling, that you finally see success with your coaching business. I'm rooting for you. Like I said, I'm looking forward to doing a call with you if you're interested in doing that. And thank you so much for watching. Take care.